The Salewa Litetrek II Camo is a very special tent. It not only comes in sort of a mountain camouflage pattern, but it also has properties that are vastly different from other tents. Let's find out if it is the perfect tent for you. Hey guys, welcome to the High Ground. My name is Fabio and today we're talking about the Salewa Litetrek tent. The recurring viewers might know it has been silent for 2 weeks now. The reason is that I moved to a new apartment together with my wife and we're not fully set up yet, so you can see it's still pretty empty in my room. But I have a lot more space to do stuff and it will for sure be awesome. For the non-recurring viewers, welcome to the High Ground. I do videos about outdoor survival climbing topics every week. I'm in the Swiss mountain guide course. I spent roughly 200 days per year in the mountains over the last years. And yeah, every Monday we publish a video about an outdoor topic, and every Thursday we're going more into philosophic, politics, ethics, religion, etc. topics, just things I want to talk about. Now, my suggestion is that I'll give you a few basic facts about the Salewa Litetrek II Camo tent. Afterwards, we will go outside into the mountains. The weather is supposed to be bad, so it will be a good testing ground for the tent. I will also be able to help a friend of mine with a course that he is hosting. Yeah, and all the while I'll be able to just test this tent. Afterwards, we're coming back indoors. I'll give you my summary of how the tent really held up and also compare it to a few other tents that I have to give you an idea where really the area of application for this tent might be. Let's start with the basic facts. It's a 2-person tent. It's officially a 3-season tent, and it is a 2-layer tent, so it has an inner tent and an outer tent, and everything is held up by a semi-geodetic structure, meaning you have crossing poles. It stands up for itself, so you not necessarily need to use pegs or something like that for it to stand, but of course they will help. Okay, yeah, we will go into the really specific details like weight, thickness of material, etc. later. Let's head outside into the mountains and see what this tent can do. It's a beautiful landscape, and I'm out here with a friend. He has a preparedness and survival school teaching a course, and I'm assisting him for a little bit, making sure that with the rappelling and everything safe. And yeah, I thought I'd bring you along. Now, I originally wanted to bring a tripod. I actually have a tripod with me, but I forgot the connector plate. So this is why the camera will be handheld today. And yeah, so it's now 9 a.m. We're waiting for the arrival of the group. They should be here around 10. I'm standing at the place where I will actually sleep in my tent. We will have the group a little bit off to the side where they can make a fire and be for themselves. And yeah, let me show you the surroundings. We have the cars down there, and up here on the hill, directly next to the pine trees, is where I will be sleeping. It's a pretty nice place. A lot of people here in summer. As you can see, there is all the infrastructure, but since it is very early spring, we're alone. And this little guy is Sparky. Sparky, hey! Okay, so I decided to already put up my tent. As said, it will be back there. I brought the Salewa Litetrek II in camouflage. Camouflage in that regard is not actually the pattern, because it might work in a very rocky environment, but it's not really a camo pattern. But everything is thicker. So the camo tent, the Litetrek II, is a very sturdy tent, and yeah, I will pitch that. You can watch me doing it, and then we will talk again. Not bad for the second time in my life that I pitched this tent. The first one was at home in the living room. Nice one. So we have the guys now walking in front of us, and we're moving over to their today's camp. It was their decision how they move their gear, so we didn't instruct them to do so. And yeah, but it's a wonderful place. And over there, this is actually a quite well-known rock climbing area. Nice multi-pitch routes. Beautiful here. Okay, so it's pretty late now. I'm sitting at the fire, as you can see. I apologize if the picture is not fully sharp. The camera has a little bit issues with this lighting because it's so dark here. Well, there was unsharpness. Well, I'm enjoying the silence a little bit. Mark already went to bed, and yeah, I'm sitting here at the campfire. Tomorrow will be a brief day. The group is only there for 2 hours, and yeah, afterwards I will have time to show you a little bit of stuff, and yeah, perfect. Okay, I would say I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, good morning. So we had a very rainy night, pretty much downpour. It rained cats and dogs, but of course in the tent I stayed dry. It's now 7:30 in the morning. I'll get up, have some coffee with Mark, and then we will see how the group did in their shelter. Yeah, I just wanted to briefly show you how I have set up the tent here. So you can see I have my Nocti light for Petzl hanging down there, and that's basically it. So not very spectacular, but yeah, it's quite comfortable to sleep in. So the Litetrek is officially a 2-person tent. I don't know how anybody manages to sleep with 2 people in here. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's for sure no long-time solution. Okay. So I will get up, and then, oh yeah, just in case you wonder why I have my backpack in here. I mean, generally I often take my backpack with me into my tent, but also I have food in there, and we have a lot of foxes and stuff here. That would otherwise tear open the backpack if I leave it out. Okay, so let's get dressed and let's start the day. Okay, so back there is my tent, and I was wondering because I had a little bit condensation in there, and out here it is super cold. I mean, it was at least 10 degrees Celsius warmer in my tent. No joke. So now we will make some coffee, some breakfast, and then check the group. So.
ciao.
Ja, sehr gern. Danke.
Die Öllinie ist einfach gedeckt, he?
Ja, die sind 250 Milliliter. Okay.
Sonst noch noch mal ein bisschen haben.
Okay, so we're done with the group, but now we have pretty bad weather incoming, so it started to snow. That means I'm not staying here, but I'm going down. Okay, and with that, we are back. Of course, I did not really film the first part, then go outside, and now I'm filming the second part. I was already outside. Now, to give you a better idea when the previous scenes actually happened, it was end of April. We have now beginning of May, and currently it is a very cold and wet year. So I would say it happened in early spring, because spring is not something that, of course, you have a calendar, but from a meteorologic perspective, I would say it's very early spring, late winter. We still had snow up in the mountains when I tested this tent. Okay, so how did it hold up? Well, what are the reference points, right? I brought two other tents that we compare it to without going too much into those tents. This is the Vexel Intrepid two-person tent. It's actually a tunnel tent, so it's not standing by itself. You have to use pegs. And this is the Black Diamond First Light tent. Now you can see I have my tablet here because I really can't remember that many numbers like weight and area that you can sleep in and height and stuff. That doesn't work for me. I'm just a little bit a monkey, but I can give you the numbers because I have them right here. Now, first of all, this tent is, as I said, a 3-season tent. So are the other two. The difference is this tent is built so sturdy that I would have no issue sleeping in it in deep winter. What I said in the previously when we were in the mountains, you had such a notable temperature difference that I was really impressed by it. Now, if you are a recurring follower of the channel, you might remember that we actually had a winter bivy a few months ago where we were on one of the coldest spots of Switzerland. One of my friends actually brought this tent and it worked very well. I think the reason why it is only a 3-season tent is that it doesn't have snow flaps. So if you are really in a snowstorm, you have to take some external precautions so that snow doesn't get blown under the tent, etc. So I think you can definitely use it in winter. You just need to have a little bit more precautions in place. As said, the other two tents, the Vexel tent is a very sturdy tent. It's almost luxurious, right? You have a big upside at the front. You can cook inside the tent. You have a lot of space if you're 2 people. So this is really a tent where you can spend a few weeks in without getting really uncomfortable. On the other hand, the Black Diamond First Light tent, it's my alpine tent when I really have to sleep at the bottom of a north face to climb it at the next day or something like that. It's a very uncomfortable tent and I would not want to sleep more than 1, 2 or maximum 3 nights in it. Now, where do we have the Litetrek tent? Well, I would say anything that is either me alone. I could almost stay indefinitely in this tent. With 2 people, you saw it in the video, it's quite cramped. So I'm not sure how Salewa got to the point that this is a 2-people tent. It is of course bigger than a one-person tent, but yeah, it will be super cramped. You will likely not be able to get your backpack inside of the tent, and cooking inside or something like that when it is when it is bad weather won't be possible. Now let's go through some facts of those tents. And the most important thing when we have to carry our gear ourselves is the weight. Now, the Vexel tent comes in at 3.35 kilogram, which is 7 pounds and 6 ounces. The Litetrek comes in at 2.3 kilogram, which is 5 pound and 1 ounces. And of course the Black Diamond is the master of lightweight travel. It comes in at 1.45 kilogram, which is 3 pounds and 3 ounces. So the Salewa Litetrek, it is lighter than the Vexel tent. Would I want to carry the Vexel tent instead of the Salewa? Well, the difference is 2 pounds, right? And 2 pounds is quite a bit. So it really depends on the circumstances that I would be in. I feel that this tent is super sturdy. I would have no issues to set it up in any storm. So it doesn't really have a drawback there compared to the heavier tent. But as said, the main difference for me is that this tent feels much more cramped than the tunnel tent from Vexel. And that leads us to the area, to the official measurements, to the floor dimensions. And that was something that I found funny. So of course the Black Diamond, it is 84 inches by 50 inches, or 2 meter 13 by 1 meter 27. It is obviously the smallest tent, right? That's what we would expect from it. You can see it's really a small package. More interesting is the Vexel tent versus the Litetrek. And the Vexel tent comes in at 86.6 inches by 51.2 inches. So we have 2 meter 20 by 1 meter 30. The Litetrek comes in by 2 meter 30 by 1 meter 20, or 90.6 by 47.2 inches. So in principle, this tent should be almost as big as this one. It should be a little bit longer. If we look at it, it's 4-inch longer, but 4-inch less wide. And the height for those tents, this tent has a height inside, a maximum height, let me get it, of 33 inches or 1.10 meters. And this has a maximum height of 39 inch, so 1 meter flat. I'm not sure what Salewa is measuring there, but in my opinion, those official numbers, they are BS. This tent is notably smaller. Yes, it might have, I mean, per the numbers, it should be longer, but I slept in both tents and it is not. I'm not sure if it has to do with the construction, because here we have the outer tent and the poles are in the outer tent, and there inside you have then the inner tent directly connected to the outer tent and the poles. Here you have the poles, then you have a little bit of distance, then you have the outer tent, and then you have the inner tent connected to the outer tent. And what I always noted is that the inner tent has a little bit of tension, so it gets lifted up a little bit by the outer tent, even if you put the connectors on the longest setting. So maybe it has something to do with that, but I have to clearly say that the measurements seem to be off. This tent feels far more spacious than this one. So I'm not fully sure what Salewa is doing there. but this is something that I noted where the numbers don't add up for me. Now, to sum it up, as I already said in the beginning, the Salewa is just due to the space constraints, in my opinion, not a tent where two people can comfortably live for a long time in. For me, myself, it will definitely be the go-to tent for anything that I'm doing outdoors where I'm alone in my tent. It was really nice to sleep in there. As one person, as you saw, I can get my big Mystery Ranch backpack with me in there, so that's not an issue at all. And I'm very happy with it. Also, given the price point, the Salewa Litetrek, if you can get it cheap, I got it for 250 bucks. That makes it actually the cheapest of all three tents. At the normal price, it would be a little bit less expensive than the Wechsel tent and more expensive than the Black Diamond First Light. Now, without the other tents, what are my final thoughts on this tent? I like it a lot. It's super easy to set up. It feels very sturdy. As I said, I would have no issues being in a storm in the mountains with it. For one person, I could imagine living for a long time in it, and the overall quality of the manufacturing, I didn't see anything that would not be up to standard. And given the costs compared to what it actually does, it is a really good tent, and I would definitely recommend it. That's it for this gear review with the tent. I hope you liked it. We will be on schedule again next week with Monday and Thursday videos. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate the time you spent here. If you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up. Follow the channel. If you have any question, please put it in the comments below. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.